Big changes have been made to my Club World Cup fantasy draft, and in today's video I'm going to be revealing what my matchday 1 squad is currently looking like, my chip strategy, and why I am planning to activate one of those in matchday 1. So as always, if you look forward to today's video, make sure to drop a like and of course hit that subscribe button for Club World Cup fantasy content throughout this summer. Enough waffling, let's get into today's video. So first up, let's talk about my chip strategy for the Club World Cup fantasy game, and we have 4 available to us. They include the 12th man, which is a 12th man for your team, but you can spend whatever you want on that player, but it's only for that single match day. So if you activate it for match day 1, that will then disappear in match day 2. We then have the wildcard, which very similar to FPL allows you to make unlimited transfers within that budget, and then that will be your team going forward throughout the competition. We have then got maximum captain, which is different to the triple captain in FPL. Maximum captain, once activated, basically just puts the captaincy on the player that scores the most points at the end of the match day. So that one's quite exciting. You can't really go wrong with that one. And then finally, we have a mystery booster that has been announced before the round of 16 after match day 3. So we know that we're going to have a chip that we have to use after the group stages for us. So this is currently my plan for my chips. In matchday 1, I am quite confident I want to use my 12-man chip. As discussed here, we got 2 really good fixtures. Bayern Munich with that amazing fixture against Auckland City, and Man City with a really favourable fixture as well. And I think honestly there is a chance of 4-5+ goals in those respective fixtures for their teams. And I also think there are decent enough attacking options in Bayern, for example, someone like a Harry Kane, and Man City like an Erling Haaland, to justify activating the 12th man on that player. The only thing about that chip, of course, is then you don't have that player for the following game week. And we're going to talk about some teams to target in a second. And I do think Bayern and City are great for the next 2 match days. So that's the only problem with the 12th man, is that you only have that player for 1 game week and then you need to transfer him in match day 2. But I still think the 12th man is really good for that match day. The other one is going to be the wildcard in match day 3. Now, the reason being is because usually, if the top teams have qualified by then, we might see some rotation in match day 3. And I think that's a great opportunity to almost use the wildcard as a free hit. Now, a reminder, because half of the teams will be eliminated after the group stages, everybody gets unlimited transfers going into the round of 16. So this wildcard is basically just going to be a free hit team for that 1 match day in isolation. I think that's quite exciting and a nice way of using the chip. So I like that idea. Hopefully some of the top teams are qualified, so they rotate in match day 3, which allows us to select some players that might be 5% less owned, which gives us a scouting bonus for those players that are below 5%. So I think it's a bit of a win-win really, and I do like the idea of having a few differentials in match day 3. As discussed, we have 2 other chips. Have no idea what the mystery booster is. Sorry, there is no spoilers here. And maximum captain, I'm just keeping myself flexible with that one. If there is a match day like match day 2, for example, where I think, oh, there are so many great fixtures, then I may activate it. But I also like the idea of keeping that one in my back pocket for later on in the competition, where things get a little bit harder to predict, a bit more difficult when big teams are coming up against one another and I can't pinpoint who the best captain is. Using the maximum captain just kind of takes that out of the equation and makes it a bit easier for me. So that's the current chip strategy. I'm pretty locked in on this, but of course I will update you on my final team selection closer to the time. So in terms of the teams to target, with my chip strategy of looking to wildcard in match day 3, I'm only really building the squad for match day 1 and match day 2. Remember, round of 16 we get unlimited transfers. So I'm only looking at 2 match days, and I think these teams here are the real standout ones that we can trust. First, I've got Bayern Munich. Now, match day 1 against Auckland City is probably the best fixture any team is going to have in the entire competition, because Auckland City, yes, they are going to try and put up some sort of competitive edge, but we need to remind ourselves that pretty much all the team are part-time players. Some of these are taking annual leave in order to participate in this Club World Cup. I think their forward is a salesman and one of them is a barber. So if Bayern actually want to turn this game into a cricket squad, they actually could. So matchday 1 is just absolutely essential to have yourself triple Bayern. And I think matchday 2 against Boca Juniors will be a difficult game. I don't look at that and think they're going to batter those. So you could just have Bayern for the first match day, but I still think over the 2, they are worth investing in particular for matchday 1. Now, in terms of Chelsea, I think in general, the three that they have is probably the best of all teams. They've got LAFC, Los Angeles FC, in matchday 1. I think that's a good fixture. I mean, Hugo Lloris and Giroud are the only two recognisable names, to be honest. Then they got Flamengo in matchday 2. That'll be difficult. That'll be a fiery game. And then they have ES Tunis in matchday 3. I mean, I would be lying to you if I said to you how good that team is, but I expect Chelsea to be considerably better than all three of those teams. Then we got Inter Milan. Now, this would be an interesting one because, of course, had obviously their Champions League final, is that going to impact them negatively? I still think it's worth the investment with the teams that they have. Matchday 1, they got Monterrey. I think that's a great fixture. Matchday 2, they got Urawa Reds. Again, I don't know much about those, but I think Inter Milan, from a defensive perspective, are definitely ones that we can look to invest in. Attacking-wise, then I think you want to tread carefully. I don't know exactly where we would go. In terms of Man City, this is the one that I think are the ones we want to invest in. Matchday 1, they got Wydad AC. Matchday 2, they got Al Ain. They've invested heavily, Man City, in this transfer window prior to the Club World Cup. I think they really want to put on a show in this competition. The problem is with Pep and the players that he's brought in, who is going to start each and every game? That is the problem. So identifying maybe the three that you know are going to have guaranteed game time might be better than maybe the more exciting ones like a Cherki, for example. Finally, Real Madrid. Now, I would argue matchday 1 is difficult against Al Hilal, but I still think Real Madrid are just leagues above somebody like an Al Hilal. I might be wrong. Maybe I am putting down Al Hilal as a team, but I still think Real Madrid are going to be better than them. And then in matchday 2, the one that you want to target up against Pachuca. Again, a team that I really don't know anything about, but I'm expecting Real Madrid to be considerably better than both of these teams. And with Xabi Alonso, he is going to want to lay down a benchmark early doors. Yes, it might take a bit of time for his tactics to be implemented in this Real Madrid team, but nonetheless, I think Real Madrid are a team that we still have to target. Players like Kylian Mbappe, very difficult to ignore. So yes, there are other teams to target. I think I would argue Borussia Dortmund are ones that are great enablers, but this is kind of the spine of your team to have a good matchday 1 and matchday 2. So taking a look at my updated matchday 1 draft and kicking things off with the goalkeepers here, and we have made a change. Now at 4 million, I still am invested in Armani, the River Plate goalkeeper. If you take a look at the fixtures for them, they have got Urari Red Diamonds in matchday 1 and CF Monterrey in matchday 2. And I expect River Plate to be better than both of those teams. And at 4 million for a starting goalkeeper like Armani, it feels like a brilliant option for this team because we can use him early doors, and if he doesn't pick up a clean sheet, we can simply bring in our preferred goalkeeper. Now, a reminder, they play on June 17th and June 22nd. The other goalkeeper that I have got here is going to be Edison, who plays on different days, and I think the two fixtures that they have are just fantastic. Wydad AC in matchday 1 and Al Ain FC in matchday 2. Now, I do need to put the caveat out here. Over the Premier League season, we have seen at times Ortega get some minutes in that Man City team. If there is any question marks about Ortega maybe getting some minutes, then unfortunately the Edison experiment is going to have to come to an end, and I most likely will maybe change that to either Manuel Neuer, or we will go down to the Juventus goalkeeper, which was previously the goalkeeper of choice. I originally didn't like the idea of cheap goalkeepers, but I also think we can build a decent enough squad with a premium goalkeeper alongside it. So that's what we're currently leaning to right now. Somebody mentioned in my previous video that you can select goalkeepers on the same day and manually substitute them, and that is absolutely correct. However, with the times that these teams are kicking off, if you're UK based, I don't think you want to be staying up till 1, 2 a.m. to manually substitute your goalkeeper if the other one doesn't stick around. So for me, I'm going to stick with the strategy of having goalkeepers who play on separate days, just to allow myself the opportunity to effectively have two goalkeepers. So that's how we're looking right now, but Edison is a slight question mark if Ortega has a potential of starting. If anybody knows, let me know in the comments. Next up, moving into my matchday 1 defenders, and again, some changes to the defense. The ones that have stuck around. First up, we got Francisco Moura. Now, this is just one of those steals at 4.1 million. Porto recently played a friendly. He operated as a left wing back. Remember, this guy picked up 10 assists in the previous season. We're expecting him to start. Now, I would argue that Porto's fixtures aren't great. Palmeiras in matchday 1, Inter Miami in matchday 2, but at 4.1 million, if he doesn't get a clean sheet, it is what it is. We are here for the potential of attacking returns as well. And at 4.1 million, I have other defenders that realistically I'm expecting to do better than him. So anything that Francisco Mora gets is just an added bonus. And with him kicking off on June 15th, June 19th, I think we got a good enough balance here for the team alongside the dates of the other defenders. So Francisco Mora, just one of those that alongside Armani as a cheap enabler, I think is just a lock in our teams to allow us to afford the other players. The other cheap one right now is going to be Lloyd Kelly. Now, I do need to have another look, maybe talk to some Juventus fans to see whether he is a lock in this team. But again, 4.7 million. I didn't really discuss Juventus as a team to target, but Al Ain in matchday 1, Wydad FC in matchday 2. Forget about the Man City games, our wildcard in matchday 3. So he is like a perfect enabler. Again, am I expecting anything other than clean sheets? No. But it's a great added bonus at 4.7 million. So yes, we're seeing Cambiasso in some teams as well, but I don't mind Lloyd Kelly at this cheap price at 4.7 million, and that's why he's currently in the team. Now, we got the more exciting players, but Akanji is the one that is very vanilla. We got Edison in goal. I need to see whether double Man City defense is actually worth it or not. Remember, in matchday 1, you can only have 3 players from each team. So spoiler alert, I don't have any other Man City players outside of maybe a Norwegian robot. I just don't really predict this Man City midfield. So I think Akanji is probably the safer of the defenders right now. And a reminder, the fixtures are great. I need to maybe check out some team predictors to see whether they think Akanji is going to be a starter or not. But if he is, I quite like him as a pick in that Man City defence. And I think the clean sheet is going to be locked in for City in those opening 2 games. Hence why I'm leaning towards double Man City defence. Then we got the 2, what I would say, more exciting picks. Now, I originally didn't have Rafael Guerreiro in my team. I think he's quite expensive at 5.8 million, but I'm expecting him to start. Very, very offensive fullback. At times plays as a wing back in the way that a company sets up his team. And Auckland City FC in matchday 1, that is just the reason why he's in. There is so much potential in that fixture. Boca Juniors in matchday 2 is good, but really I'm invested in that matchday 1 team. So right now we're leaning towards Rafael Guerreiro as my pick. Unfortunately, his effective ownership is 8.2%. I can see that getting closer to 10. So we're not going to get any scouting bonus, but I wouldn't expect it with Guerreiro. And finally, we have got Dumfries. Now, this is a very template pick at 6.3 million. But we saw in the Champions League what he can do from an attacking perspective. It's going to be interesting to see what Inter Milan do with new management. And of course, with their situation off the back of that Champions League defeat. But I still back them with the fixtures that they have. CF Monterrey and Urari Red Diamonds in those 2 games. It just feels too good to ignore, even though I'm not expecting the best Inter Milan team to turn up here. I think Denzel Dumfries is quite an exciting pick. But at 6.3 million with other great premium defenders about, I need to make sure that this one is the correct defender. So I'm going to monitor Inter Milan, maybe some fans to see whether they are in good spirits about them as a team. But right now, that is the defence. I'm pretty content with it. Obviously, we're missing out Reyerson at Dortmund, who previously was in this team, but I quite like the balance of this defence right now. Now for the exciting picks, the matchday 1 midfielders right now. And again, some names have sticked around, but I've made 2 changes to this team and we got to discuss those. So first and foremost, the ones that have stuck around from my previous draft, we have got what seems like is in everybody's team right now, Master Tuano. Now, I've absolutely butchered that name. Let me know in the comment section how to pronounce it. But this was the gem. 4.3 million River Plate talent, youngster, phenomenal. However, we know that Real Madrid is now in the market for him. I believe the deal has been secured. But the good news is that he is sticking around for River Plate for this competition. Now, could that actually hinder him as a pick? Possibly. His mind might be elsewhere, but at 4.3 million for River Plate, it is too damn good to ignore. The fixtures are great. Urari Red Diamonds and CF Monterrey, as I discussed. 4.3 million. Very similar to my Mora pick in defence and my Armani pick in goal. It is what it is. We got other players that we're expecting to feature ahead of this guy. So if he doesn't turn up mentally and he doesn't really want to play, it is what it is. This is just an added bonus in the team and it allows us to afford other players in our squad. So I'm really happy with Franco, but realistically, he's going to be in everybody's team. The other one that seems is very popular, but he's only 10% owned, is going to be Flamengo's Diaz Scareta. Again, I've butchered that one. Don't shoot me, I'm from the southwest of England. I'm not meant to be pronouncing these names very well. So fixtures-wise, they're good. Not for match day 2, for match day 1 against Esperance de Tunis. So that is a really good fixture. And this guy has obviously been contributing for goals and assists for his team in the previous season. Match day 2, not ideal, but that is what transfers are for. We can use one of our transfers in match day 2 to take him out. We're really targeting match day 1 in isolation. Probably the first player that we've discussed that I've almost pinpointed a transfer out in match day 2. But I'm quite excited to see what he can do in this game. So those two are pretty much locked in alongside Cole Palmer. Again, if you haven't noticed, I'm a Chelsea fan. I love Cole Palmer, and I do think he's still the best Chelsea pick. Obviously not landing some of the deals over the window like Gittins, or there were talks about Rodrigo. That was never going to happen. We don't really have many wingers, so I do think a Madueke and Neto is actually a really nice differential pick. And if you want to chase some of that side, you can. But Cole Palmer's minutes are going to be locked in. 26% owned. Yes, he is kind of highly owned, but we know his minutes are going to be great, and he's on penalties. So I still prefer Cole Palmer, but I do think you can have a cheeky pick on Neto or Madueke if you want to. Now, for the controversial ones, you have to have triple Bayern 100%. The problem is right now at Bayern is that I saw a team kind of prediction from an account on Twitter who are usually over the season pretty good with their information, and they've suggested that Musiala is going to be slowly integrated back into the Bayern team, which sounds like maybe he had a slight knock over international duty. And with this game, in match day 1, Auckland City, you have to get the right players in that game. So for me, it has made Elise just an absolute lock. Leroy Sané has now left. He has gone to Galatasaray. So I think Michael Elise just by default becomes the premium midfielder in this Bayern team. And again, we just need that Auckland City game, and hopefully Michael Elise can do a mad one in this fixture. Controversially, the other one I've gone for is Kimmich. I know that he's going to play guaranteed minutes in this game. He will play in the double pivot, most likely alongside someone like a Goretzka, for example. And I am expecting him to be creative in that Bayern team. He is quite a creative midfielder when he does play at centre mid. So I need to monitor that news. It's not ideal, but I feel like I want double Bayern midfield. Kimmich right now is the only one that I think I can guarantee those minutes. However, caveat, this definitely could change if we get the news that maybe a Coman is starting, or if Gnabry is starting. That will really change things up. I would like to spend a bit more and go up from Kimmich in that scenario. But as of right now, that is the team. I'm pretty content with the midfield. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Finally, the big guns, the forwards for match day 1. And there's been no changes right now. We're sticking with Haaland, we're sticking with Samu at Porto, and we have got Mbappe, of course, for Real Madrid. Now, the one for Mbappe I think is quite interesting. I think there is maybe a strategy of going without Mbappe in match day 1, possibly. 12th man in match day 2 for that incredible fixture against Pachuca. And then in match day 3, maybe avoiding them altogether with that Salzburg game, because if they have progressed to the latter stages, they may even look to rotate Mbappe and play Endrick instead. So I think there is an opportunity to maybe ignore Mbappe if Al Hilal are better than what I perceive. Unfortunately, I think they beat Al Hilal quite comfortably. That is why Mbappe is in my team right now, and you're going to want him for match day 2 more than match day 1. So if Mbappe's in the team, I find it very hard to ignore him. The other one that is a lock for me is going to be Samu. Now, this is an interesting one because I feel like they don't know how good he is from a goal scoring perspective. He scored like 19 goals for Porto last year. Now, the problem is Porto's fixtures aren't great. Palmeiras in match day 1 and Inter Miami in match day 2. So you could make the argument that even though he is an incredible enabler at 4.2 million, they might not even get the results in these fixtures. And then anybody could be cheap. But if he isn't actually going to score in these games, there's no point owning him. I think though he's good enough. I think Porto are good enough to get goals in these two fixtures, in particular Inter Miami. I think Inter Miami, because of the players, the names that they have, we perceive them better than what they are. I think Samu gets goals in these games. So I'm just going to stick with him at 4.2 million. But of course, that is at the expense of having players like Guirassy, for example, at Dortmund. I'm kind of ignoring that price bracket because of the cheap enabler that Samu has. And then we're going to go for Erling Haaland. Now, this is a tricky one because it is Erling Haaland or Harry Kane in this team. But I think Wydad FC and Al Ain are better two fixtures than that of Bayern Munich's against Auckland City and Boca Juniors. I think Haaland has the ability to be more explosive than Harry Kane, even though he doesn't have Auckland City. I think these two fixtures are still very good for City. I expect Erling Haaland to play 90 minutes in both. He's just one of those guys I don't see getting rotated. And he allows me to have a captaincy option if I can't have Harry Kane. So I'm looking more as a 2-game week perspective rather than one. We could do some transfer stuff if we wanted to, but as of right now, Erling Haaland is in the team. So the question is, where the hell is Harry Kane if Auckland City are the worst team in the tournament? Well, that is where the 12-man chip comes into play. So this is how I'm planning to have my team for match day 1 with the 12th man activated. There's no world I'm not having Harry Kane against the worst team in this tournament in Auckland City FC. So Harry Kane's coming in. The good thing about the 12th man is that it allows me to have 4 Bayern Munich players for the best game, which I think is a huge plus. The downside is I can't captain Harry Kane. So I need to look at it and think to myself, well, is there actually a negative? Could I captain a Bayern Munich midfielder, for example, who gets an additional point for goals? That is a possibility. Someone like a Michael Elise, 100% is a captaincy choice on the 15th of June if I want to go there. And I think that's probably the route that I am going to go down, knowing that I probably will end up defaulting on Erling Haaland on the 18th of June, or potentially Mbappe if I get a bit more wanting to go down that route. I think Kane's coming in regardless. And as of right now, I think I'm having him as a 12th man because I just think I want him for this game. I don't feel like I have to have him for match day 2, whereas Erling Haaland, I can't see me not having him in match day 2. Same applies for Mbappe, and Samu's kind of out the equation because he's so cheap. So that's how I'm looking to land. I'm pretty happy with the team. Of course, the deadline is Sunday. I will do a final team selection Saturday. So there's a couple of days that we can gain more information, but that's how we're looking as of right now. Yes, guys, okay, so that's going to wrap up today's latest draft video. I'm hoping to do a video tomorrow, followed by a team selection video on Saturday. I'm sure things will change between now and then, so make sure you are sticking around for that. Drop a like on this video and hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with everything. Any questions, put them in the comment section. I'll be sure to get to them. Have an amazing day. Take care. I'll see you real soon. Cheers.